Have you ever seen something and thought there was no way you could ever figure it out? For me, that was a Rubik's Cube. The artifact I want to talk about today is this cube. At first, it might seem to just be a colorful puzzle, but for me, it represents patience and lots of practice. This cube reminds me that when something seems confusing at first, if you just keep working and practicing, eventually you can do it with confidence. First, this Rubik's Cube reminds me when I first became interested in it during middle school. I remember seeing a lot of students walking around with the Rubik's Cube, solving them really fast, speed cubers and such. At the time, I had no idea how they were doing it. It looked impossible to me, and I finally got one when I was in 8th grade because I wanted to figure out how it worked. When I first started trying to solve it, I could barely do anything. The only thing I was able to complete was one side of the cube. I would spend time trying to make different moves, but most of the time I really only mixed it up even worse. Even though it was frustrating, it made me want to keep trying. Now, the trick with these cubes is you have to look at the centerpiece. That is the one that will remain at the same position regardless of the face you turn it or the swivels you make around it. For example, the white center, red, yellow, so on and so forth. Now, a lot of people start off by solving the white side first, but you can really choose whatever color you want. After that, you have to complete the first phase, and you move on to proceed the second ones. Now I will try and do this one really quick so I can demonstrate. Do that one. Let's take a look here. Very good. Almost there. So we got this first phase in, but if you notice, it's not entirely correct. Even though they're all white, it can sort of be misleading. You might think that step one is complete, but not quite, because I will show you. If you see this centerpiece is green, this one's blue, this one's white. It's doesn't make sense because now when you try to solve the second phase, it's going to be tricky. The same as this orange one, this is white, this is orange, but this one's green. Therefore, it's just not compatible. Second, this cube reminds me of how important patient really is. After a while, I started learning different patterns and acronyms people use to solve the cube. At first, those were confusing as well, but the more I practiced them, the more they started to make sense. Over time, I got better and better. Eventually, I reached to the point where I could solve the entire cube. Now, when I solve it, I don't have to think about every move. My hands sort of naturally solve it since I've practiced it that much. So even though this Rubik's Cube may seem to be a simple puzzle, it actually reminds me of something important. It reminds me that when something feels confusing in the beginning, that does not mean it will always be confusing throughout the entirety of it. With enough practice and patience, things that once seemed impossible can become something you do confidently. This cube started as something that confused me, but now it reminds me that practice and persistence can turn something difficult into something natural.